Okay, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? When you're just buried under information.
Oh, absolutely.
Like trying to figure out the tiny differences between, I don't know, 10 different products, each with its own massive spec sheet.
Yeah, it's a real slog. It can totally stall things.
It really can. It feels like a bottleneck sometimes.
Definitely. And in today's world, being able to quickly pull out what really matters from all that detail,
Yeah.
that's crucial.
You waste so much time otherwise.
You really do. Time, energy, resources.
And that's pretty much what we're unpacking today. We've got some really interesting material here looking at how AI is slicing through that complexity.
Right.
Specifically, we're looking at the system called Gordon.AI and how it works with something called NotebookLM.
Think of it like giving your documents a brain, almost.
Exactly, a superpower to understand themselves. We've got the lowdown on its architecture, how it handles questions, real examples of what it does.
And our mission today really is to show how Gordon.AI, with NotebookLM working alongside it, can genuinely grasp these complex documents. Things like product catalogs, technical specs.
The dense stuff.
The really dense stuff. We want to get into the mechanics, sure, but also show you how this integration can get you fast, solid information without all that digging.
Okay, so let's start big picture. What is Gordon.AI with NotebookLM, fundamentally? What's the problem it's actually setting out to solve?
Well, at its heart, Gordon.AI is about making things smoother within Google Workspace.
Like your Gmail, Google Chat, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Imagine it like an assistant baked right into those tools you use every day. It's there to fetch information, maybe even automate some simple tasks.
Okay.
And it's not monolithic. The sources describe it as having different parts, different components, like a toolkit.
So specialized tools for different jobs.
That's right. There's mention of a command line interface for, more technical users, tools for managing files securely, even the voice interaction.
Hands-free, okay.
But the really game-changing part, and what we're focusing on, is how deeply it connects with NotebookLM.
Right, NotebookLM, that's the key piece for understanding what's in the document.
That's it, precisely. NotebookLM is what gives Gordon.AI the smarts to actually read and comprehend the content.
Not just find keywords.
No, much more than that. It's designed to pull out the main topics, identify important things like product names, features, people, and, crucially, the relationships between them.
The connections, that's often the hard part.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that ability to see the connections is what makes this integration so powerful.
So the goal here is making it way easier to not just find stuff in documents, but to actually get it, use it efficiently.
That's the core idea. Ditch the painful manual searching and scrolling. Get the specific answers you need right where you're already working, fluidly.
Okay, let's get practical then. Say I'm in Google Chat. I type a question for Gordon.AI. Walk me through it. What happens behind the scenes?
Okay, good question. Let's use an example. You type, Michael, can you tell me about the specifications for Floritelli kitchen cabinets?
Okay.
So that message hits the Google Workspace API, gets sent over to the Gordon.AI API gateway. The gateway is like the front door.
The digital receptionist you said earlier?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
So the gateway checks who you are, make sure you're allowed to see this stuff, authentication, permissions.
Standard security stuff.
Right. And at the same time, something called a context manager looks at your conversation history, your recent interactions. It tries to get a better feel for what you might actually need.
Okay, so let's get some context. Then what?
Then Gordon.AI's natural language processing kicks in. It figures out your intent, you're asking for product specifications, and the subject, Floritelli kitchen cabinets.
It understands the question.
Exactly. Then this component called the AI orchestrator takes charge. Think of it like air traffic control for the request.
Directing the question to the right place.
Precisely. It decides which part of Gordon.AI is best suited for this specific query.
And since I asked about document content, it knows NotebookLM is the one.
Spot on. The orchestrator, through a service router, sends the query over to the NotebookLM service.
Okay.
NotebookLM then looks into its document knowledge base, basically all the documents it's already analyzed. It searches specifically for Floritelli kitchen cabinets.
Finds the relevant files or sections.
Finds the details, and then the response generator steps up.
So NotebookLM does the digging, finds the facts, the generator makes it readable.
Exactly. It structures the information, makes it easy to understand. And this is important. It includes citations, links back to where in the original documents it found that info.
Ah, so you can check its work.
Absolutely. Transparency is key.
Yeah.
Builds trust. Then that formatted response travels back through the Google Chat API, and boom, you get the specs complete with sources.
That's pretty slick. Okay, now what if new information comes in? Say someone emails an updated catalog. How does Gordon.AI learn that?
All right, another crucial function. Let's take that example. A new Floritelli price list arrives by email.
Yeah.
First, an email processor grabs the attachment, sees it's a price list. Then the file management part stores that document securely, uses encryption, all that.
So safety first. It's not just dumped in a folder.
Definitely not. Security's built in. Once it's stored safely, a request goes to NotebookLM. Process this new document.
Okay.
NotebookLM then gets to work analyzing it, pulling out the product names, the prices, any other key details. It's essentially reading and understanding the new price list.
Reading and understanding. So it extracts the important bits. Where does that knowledge go?
It gets synchronized with Gordon.AI's main knowledge storage, and this involves creating something called vector embeddings.
Vector embeddings. Remind me.
Think of it like this. The system doesn't just see words. It understands the meaning behind them and the relationships between concepts. Embeddings are the way it represents that meaning numerically.
Okay, so it allows for smarter searching, understanding context better.
Exactly. Much smarter, much more efficient searching down the line. And any new relationships found in that price list are mapped into the existing knowledge base, too.
So it's genuinely learning from the new document, connecting the dots.
That's the idea. And finally, the person who sent the email, they get a confirmation back.
Ah, feedback.
Yeah, something like, got the updated Floritelli price list, processed it, found 37 new products, 12 discontinued items, something like that.
Nice. So you know it's done, and you even get a quick summary of changes, keeps everyone on the same page.
Exactly. No guessing if the latest info is actually in the system yet.
Now, we talked about asking questions, but, garbage in, garbage out sometimes. How does Gordon.AI help make sure you ask good questions to get good answers?
That's a really important point. It uses something called prompting templates.
Templates, like fill in the blanks.
Sort of. They're like a starting point for instructing NotebookLM.
Hmm.
But the key is that these basic templates get enhanced. They become much more specific, much more detailed instructions.
Ah, so it turns a simple question into a really targeted request for NotebookLM.
Precisely. You move from just keywords to asking for very specific kinds of information, structured in a certain way.
Right.
It saves you time, gets you much better results.
Can you give an example? How does a basic query get transformed?
Sure. Let's say you start with something generic, like, tell me about product X.
Okay, pretty vague.
Right. Gordon.AI refines that for NotebookLM into something like, retrieve comprehensive information about product X. I need specifications, available options, pricing if you have it, and compatibility with other things. And please include references to where you found this in the documents.
Whoa, okay. That's a huge difference. It's like giving very specific research instructions.
It is. You're telling it exactly what facets of information to look for and to cite its sources.
What about comparing things, like compare product A and product B?
Similar idea. That basic comparison prompt becomes much richer. Retrieve and compare specifications, features, pricing, and compatibility for product A and product B. Please organize this comparison by key attributes, highlight the major differences, and give me the source document references for each comparison point.
So you get a structured breakdown, not just a list of facts for each.
Exactly. Makes it much easier to see the trade-offs.
And for technical stuff, like does this design meet the specs?
Right? That kind of check becomes, analyze whether this design element complies with the current specifications and standards. Pull the relevant requirements from the docs, compare them against these parameters I'm giving you, tell me about any problems, any discrepancies, and maybe suggest fixes.
So it's not just yes, no, it's analysis and potential solutions.
Yes, much more actionable insight.
That could save a lot of headaches down the line, catching errors early. One more, what about just needing instructions? How do I do task Y with system Z?
For that kind of procedural question, the enhanced prompt would be, retrieve step-by-step instructions for doing task Y with System Z. Make sure to include any prerequisites, tools needed, common problems people run into, and reference the specific sections in the manuals or guides.
So you get a complete walkthrough, basically.
Right. A much more helpful and complete guide than just searching for keywords, definitely.
It's really clear these prompting templates are doing a lot of the heavy lifting and getting quality information out. So, okay, NotebookLM finds the info, Gordon.AI formats it. What do these answers actually look like for the user?
Good question. The system uses response templates, too, to make the information clear and easy to use.
Okay.
So for a general info request, you'll typically see, the name of the document it came from, maybe the date, then a nicely formatted list of specs, sometimes nested or hierarchical if it's complex.
Organized.
Yes. And crucially, those references back to the original document, page numbers, section titles.
Showing its work, like you said. Why is that citation part so emphasized?
Well, it's huge for trust, right? You're not just getting an answer from a black box. You can click through, see the original context, verify it yourself. Especially important for making critical decisions based on that info.
Makes sense. Can you paint a picture? What might a response about those Floratelli cabinets look like?
Sure. Imagine you asked about the F200 series. The response might be something like, okay, based on the Floratelli catalog from April 2025, the F200 cabinets have these dimensions. Then it might list with options like 60 centimeters, 90 centimeters, 120 centimeters.
Okay.
Then common specs. Height, 82 centimeters. Depth, 56 centimeters. Shelf clearance inside, 32 centimeters max weight. 80 kilograms per shelf. It might add compatibility notes, like works with all Floratelli countertops. And then critically, for details on finishes and installation, see pages 1215 and 2831 of the catalog, with actual links or footnotes.
Got it. Super specific, traceable. What about comparisons, like those Bonova versus Kiko corner cabinets?
For comparisons, it uses tables or maybe structured lists, really aims to put the key differences front and center.
Side by side.
Often, yes, side by side. It might even subtly note things based on your past questions, like potential preferences. For Bonova versus Kiko, it would likely break down. Models available, size ranges, does it have soft-closed drawers?
Ah, important details.
Exactly. Installation space needed, finish options, price ranges, all laid out clearly. And it would point out key distinctions, like maybe Bonova has soft-close standard, but Kiko has some special space-saving tech. And again, sources cited for every claim.
It's not just data dumping, it's helping you interpret the comparison.
That's the goal, helping you understand the trade-offs.
And those design verification answers, how does it present a compliance check?
For those, it'll be really clear. Maybe check marks for things that meet the spec, warning symbols for things that don't, perhaps little info icons for notes.
Visual cues.
Right. And crucially, if there is a problem, it will give recommendations. Here's how you might fix this. And cite the rule or spec it's violating.
Like the kitchen layout example you mentioned.
Exactly. You might flag, warning, island clearance is only X, requires minimum Y. Or issue, dishwasher placement needs adjacent cabinet reinforcement per manual section Z. Then it might suggest increase clearance, or add reinforcement, or relocate dishwasher, all linking back to the Floratelli installation guide.
That's like having an automated proofreader for designs. Super valuable.
It can catch things early, prevent costly mistakes.
And finally, those notifications after a new document is processed.
Those are usually concise summaries, like for the Bonova catalog update, it might say, process new Bonova catalog, added 3 new product lines, e.g. Linea Evo, discontinued 5 items, list, updated specs, new matte black finish available for Ascenza series.
Just a quick hit list of what's changed?
Exactly. Confirms the update is done and gives you the highlights so you know what's new or gone.
This all sounds incredibly focused on the user experience, but let's pull back the curtain a bit now. What needs to happen technically to make this integration work so smoothly?
Okay, yeah. Behind the scenes, several technical bits need to work together. That API gateway, the front door we talked about, it needs a specific NotebookLM service adapter. Think of it as a translator, allowing the gateway to talk properly to the NotebookLM service, sending documents, queries, getting back the extracted knowledge.
Okay, so an adapter for communication. What else?
The query router inside the gateway needs an upgrade too. It has to be smart enough to look at a question and go, this one's about document content. I need to send this to NotebookLM.
So intelligent routing logic.
Right. Intent recognition is key there. And then there's the response formatter. It has to take what NotebookLM sends back, add those important citations we discussed, and format it nicely for wherever the answer is going.
Right, because an answer in Google Chat looks different from an answer in an email.
Exactly. Needs tailoring.
Okay, so adapter, smarter router, flexible formatter. What about keeping the information itself straight? Like versions of documents, making sure Gordon.AI and NotebookLM are aligned?
Good point. That's where the knowledge synchronization service comes in. Its job is to keep the knowledge NotebookLM extracts consistent with Gordon.AI's own internal knowledge store.
Managing updates, basically?
Managing updates, handling different document versions, resolving any conflicts if they pop up, making sure everything stays in sync.
And you mentioned vector embeddings earlier. Where do they fit in the tech stack?
Right, the vector storage, the sources mentioned, using Pinecone for this, gets enhanced. It now stores the embeddings coming from NotebookLM's analysis. This boosts the semantic search capabilities across everything.
Makes search smarter overall.
Yes, and related to that, the knowledge graph, which maps relationships between bits of information, is also expanded. It incorporates the connections NotebookLM finds within documents.
So the system gets a richer understanding of how everything relates.
A much richer understanding. It's building a more connected web of knowledge.
Sounds like a pretty complex orchestra playing back there. And then, of course, tying it all into Google Workspace itself.
Absolutely essential. For Google Chat, you need things like webhook handlers to catch events, specific formatting for chat bubbles, maybe even those little typing indicators to feel natural.
Little touches.
Yeah. For Gmail, it's about processing attachments smoothly for new documents and formatting email replies correctly, keeping them in the right conversation thread.
Makes sense.
And for Google Spaces, it gets even more nuanced. Managing context within a specific space, maybe routing questions based on the space's topic, even limiting knowledge access to that space sometimes.
So it respects the boundaries of different team spaces.
Exactly. It's all about making it feel seamless. Well, I think it tackles a few major headaches in how we usually deal with information. First, understanding the connections. How different pieces of information in a long, complex document actually relate to each other.
Yeah, that's often buried.
Right. NotebookLM is good at finding those relationships, so Gordon.AI can give you answers with more context, more insight. Second, searching across multiple documents easily.
Breaking down silos.
Exactly. Instead of opening 10 PDFs, you ask one question. And third, managing document versions.
Yeah.
Keeping track of what's the latest, making sure everyone's using the current info. This system helps automate that.
So deeper understanding, easier searching, better organization. It's more than just speed.
It really is. It's about having this powerful system that can process complexity, give you precise answers, compare things accurately, even check designs against rules, and keep its own knowledge base up to date.
And delivering all that through chat or email, things you use constantly anyway.
Right where you work.
It's almost like having a super fast, super diligent research analyst on call 24/7. Someone who can instantly dig into your docs and pull out exactly what you need.
That's a pretty good analogy, actually. It frees you up from that manual drudgery.
Saves so much time.
Makes complex information not just available, but genuinely useful, actionable.
So if we boil it all down, the big takeaway from this deep dive is really the power you get when you integrate AI, like Gordon.AI, with something that truly understands documents, like NotebookLM.
Yeah, it's a combination that could really change how we interact with all this information we're swimming in.
It moves way beyond just searching for keywords, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's more like having an intelligent conversation with your documents, getting specific insights right when you need them.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Think about all those reports, specs, papers you deal with. How could having a system like this just fundamentally change your day-to-day work, how you access and use that info?
It's a powerful thought. The potential is huge.
Definitely something to mull over. How AI evolves into this kind of deeply embedded knowledge tool.
And things are moving so fast. It's exciting to think about where this goes next, how systems like this will keep changing